Hello, welcome to Book Talk. I'm your host, Anthony Moirore. At Book Talk, we get to have an author come and tell us about his book or her book. And today we have a great guest who is going to tell us about her book, which is known as Hope Became the Enemy. That's Julie M. Hammond. And for those of you who are watching, I thank you very much for watching. For those who get to watch the recorded version of this episode, I thank you very much. Remember to share with your friends. And get ready as we welcome to the studio, Julie Hammond. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm doing good. Where are you right now?
I am in St Neots, which is a small town just outside of Cambridge in the UK.
Oh, beautiful. I'm all the way here in Athens, Greece. How is the weather there right now?
It's sunny, actually, surprisingly, but I don't think it's probably as hot as where you are in Greece.
That's interesting to hear it's sunny in the UK because I'm always hearing people complain of the weather in the UK.
Yeah, we're not very lucky with the weather.
Yeah, but you are happy people anyway, despite the weather. As I
we
can
have to be.
So here we have your book, and looks good. It's beautiful. I like it. And God, hope became the enemy. I'm going to read a small part of the blurb which says, Hope Became the Enemy is the story of a young independent English woman, Josie. Looking for excitement and adventure, Josie decides on a career change and moves to Turkey to teach English. As she slowly falls in love with her new life, she takes the reader on an exciting journey across Turkey, and through her eyes, they learn about the cultures and traditions of this exotic country. Whoa, interesting. Uh, so, Hope Became the Enemy. Why the title?
The title you showed my book, and at the beginning, at the bottom there, there's a little saying that I changed slightly. I think everybody knows the saying, a leopard doesn't change its spots. But I changed it slightly and put, a leopard doesn't change its spots. If anything, over time, they become more defined.
Yeah.
And this is connected to the name of the book because Josie, after spending some time in Turkey, meets a man, falls in love, gets married, and all too late, she realizes she's married to a malignant narcissist, and she thinks he's emotionally broken, and she thinks with her love she can fix him. But so she's trying to change those spots, but she can't, and she stays for this reason, she stays with him for far too long, and in the end puts herself and their children in danger, and eventually has to leave.
Okay, so is the change that was she hoped to make that she didn't realize that became the enemy now, I guess.
That's right. That hope, because she just kept that hope going for far too long. She should have just got up and left very, very quickly. But she thought she could change him, and it's not easy to change people.
Yeah, and who is this Josie? If you can give us a bit more in depth of just like the one you have given us, give us a bit more of herself, her character.
Yeah, I mean, Josie's English, and when she's in her mid-20s, she comes to a bit of crossroads in her life, and she's a bit disenchanted with her job. A relationship has just ended, and she decides she wants to do something different. She's always wanted to live in another country. She's always wanted to do more traveling. So she decides to train to be an English teacher, and applies to a few jobs: Italy, Germany, Spain, Turkey. And she gets an offer from Turkey. So she thinks, okay, my first year, I'll start off there. I'll go there. So in the first year, she starts doing a bit of traveling. She starts to like the culture. She starts learning the language, and she gets to the end of her first year and thinks, "I'm not ready to leave yet. I'll stay. I'll
Mm-hmm.
stay another year." And this also goes on. She gets an offer from a job from a school by the Mediterranean and thinks, "I've always wanted to live by the Mediterranean, so I'll stay another year and I'll teach there." And then she meets Bashir, the man that she falls in love with, and stays. So her dream of traveling the world doesn't ever come to fruition, but she does end up living in another country for a very long time.
Mm, wonderful. And you tell it like it's a real story.
That's because I've lived in Turkey myself,
Mm-hmm.
so I know a lot about Turkey. I know a lot about the culture, and I talked to a lot of women who shared their stories, and um, it is a country where the laws benefit men, so it can be quite difficult for women. There's a lot of femicide there, and quite often men hardly um, get punished for that. They may spend a few months in prison, but it's called a crime of passion, and and they're let out. So that's why it's set in Turkey, because I spent a lot of my time there too. So I know the country very, very well, and people who've read the book so far have told me that they've fallen in love with Turkey themselves and want to go on holiday. So I'm pleased about that because it is a beautiful country.
Mm, good. And what inspired you to write it?
Well, when I came back, in fact, I came back in 2010, so quite a while ago now. I knew I wanted to write a book, and I knew I wanted to have it set in Turkey. I started writing things, wasn't really happy with them, left them, and then probably 4 or 5 years ago, I came across a TED talk by the author, the Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie, and it's called "The Danger of a Single Story." And the single story she talks about is how people talk about Africa and African people. But I also think there's a single story that surrounds victims of domestic abuse. I think people have got like a stereotype of what they think that woman looks like. And so I just wanted to explore that. And I wanted to have Josie quite a strong character, someone who was quite independent. And I wanted people to see that it's not that victims of domestic abuse are not always sort of shy, introverted women who don't have any confidence and so on. I wanted them to see a different character, and also I wanted to introduce people to the personality type of a malignant narcissist, because I think people know what a narcissist is. They know the story about narcissists falling in love with his reflection, and so a narcissist is someone who loves themselves. But a malignant narcissist is just a very small step away from a psychopath. They are very dangerous people
Mm-hmm.
because they are determined to have everything their own way. They don't have any empathy. And so when they don't get what they want, they can become very dangerous.
Mm.
So yeah, so that was my reason. That's what inspired me
Yeah,
to write.
beautiful. And how was your writing journey, if I may ask? From the one that the time you started to write, and
It was funny because I didn't know how to start. For a long time I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how to approach it at all. And I actually, one day, by chance in a pub, met a journalist, and he just said to me, "You don't have to start at the beginning. You can start where you like. Just write something." And so I did. I wrote the ending. So I wrote the ending first, and then I backtracked from there, and and I sort of wrote bits. Ideas would come to me when I was out. Often ideas come to me when I'm out walking my dog. So an idea would come to me, I'd come home and I'd write it. And in the end, it was like a great big jigsaw puzzle, and I had to order it in such a way that it kind of makes sense, and yeah, and put it together that way.
that's interesting because I'm always hearing this term, and which I believe is one of the elements of success, is to start with the end in mind. So when you're beginning, you know how it's gonna end and what's the message that is going to be spread or
Yeah.
shared. So I like that. So how would you encourage someone who is not writing, who's never begun writing, to get started, to start with the end of the in mind, or I mean, to write the end in mind, or are there other ways that you've experienced so far?
Well, I think everybody's different because I know, for example, J.K. Rowling, she planned out 7 novels, didn't she? The characters and the things that happen. So she planned. I don't plan at all. Mine is completely, it just comes out of me.
Hmm.
And I read somewhere, can't remember whose quote it is, but you can't edit a blank page. So I would just say to anybody who wants to write something, because it could be rubbish, but it's much easier to go back and edit it than to write something completely new.
I'm going to write that down. You can't edit a blank page.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. Um, so, any challenges along the way that you faced on your while you are writing? Did you face any challenges?
I don't know that I faced any challenges, but once I mean, the biggest challenge was to find someone to publish it. That was a really big challenge. But I thought I had finished writing, but what I didn't realize is how many times I would rewrite that book once the editor read it. And
Hmm.
so so the first draft was a very long time ago and quite different to the one that ended up being published, I think. Yeah, so I've written that book many times over.
I feel you and I understand you because I remember. The workbook I just released about 2 months ago was written maybe 20 years back, but it was a very rough draft, but it stuck with me until now when it became a reality. So, for the person listening who may be having an idea, a story to tell, and you don't know how to do it, just put it down. At some point, you're gonna let it flow. You're gonna make
Yeah,
it flow. You
yeah,
you can't edit a blank page.
exactly that.
Yeah. So, are you writing something else right now?
I am actually. I'm writing the sequel to
Oh,
Hope Became the Enemy.
mm-hmm. That's
I
beautiful.
I hadn't thought that I was going to write a sequel, but people who have read it, that's what they say to me. We want to know what happened to Josie and the children.
Mm.
So I thought, okay, and then then I will write what happened to her.
Yeah. Once again, it's interesting to people out there who are contemplating writing someday. There's someone out there who's waiting to hear your story, and if you don't put it down, then you're doing a disservice to them. And once you write, you'll be very surprised to know that many people would want to read more of you. So get started.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good message. Although, Anthony, the very difficult thing is once you are published, is trying to get your book out there for people to know that it exists. If
Hmm.
you're not a famous person, if you're not a celebrity, it's quite difficult. So it's
Mm.
good. It's very good that there are people like you that are interviewing new authors like me,
Oh,
giving us a chance.
thank you. And I would ask, how do you find a publisher? Because many of us are self-published. So how do you find a publisher, to someone who's listening out there and would want to go the traditional way of publishing?
I bought this great big book, which I think is called the Writer's Guide or something, and in that book has every agent in the every literary agent in the UK and America, I think also is in there, and also every publisher. And I was really persistent. I think for about 4 months, every week I would write to 2 or 3 agents or publishers, and I would look on their website, and they all want different things. Some of them want a synopsis. Some of them want the first 3 chapters. They all want different things, so you have to look and see exactly what they want, and then send it off. So each time it could take, I don't know, a couple of hours. to actually, send off to an agent or a publisher. Yeah, and it probably was 3, 4, maybe even 5 months later that I first got a call from a different publisher who spoke to me on the phone, and we talked about it. But I had already written to Cranthorpe Milner, and I had feedback that it was interesting, and the editor was going to read it, and so I wanted to wait, and so I wrote them and said, look, I've had this other offer from a different publisher, but I really want you to publish it. And so and so then the offer came back from them, so I was really pleased.
Oh yeah, nothing good comes easy.
No,
So
that's
you,
right. You have to be
you've got to be
persistent.
persistent. You've got to keep on pushing, try different ways. When one doesn't work, you go to the next one. Because I remember this idea that someone also gave me at some point, and he told me that no simply means next opportunity. So anytime that you're told no, know that you are supposed to move into the next uh, trial, into the next attempt.
Yeah.
So for the next opportunity.
An Irish friend of mine she has just finished reading my book, and she said it needs to be made into a film. And I said to her, "Do you know any producers or directors you can, you could like give them my name?" And she said to me, "Make a manifestation board." And she sent me a link, and that's what I'm going to do. She said, "I know it sounds crazy." She said, "But I know people who do it, and it works. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to decide who's going to play the characters in the book and who I'd like to produce it and direct it, and put it out there onto Instagram or something."
And nothing is impossible.
No,
Yeah.
that's right.
So I pray that it becomes a reality, that your book turns into a movie.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what is now in the movie? Let's discuss the movie. What's the most interesting part in the movie?
um, I think firstly, because it's set in it's got a beautiful backdrop, being in Turkey. So I think people will like to see some of the historical sites that are in the book. Istanbul, which is obviously a very popular city, and also the Mediterranean and the Aegean. But there is a section in there that involves the mafia, and so that's quite exciting and a big drama. And then I think I don't want to give too much of the book away, but I think sort of later on in the book, when Josie decides that she needs to leave Bashir, I think again becomes very tense. But then there's also, for people who like romance, there's the romantic sort of part in the book as well. So it's got a lot in there for a good film, I think.
Oh, yeah, and is enough material for a movie anyway. Once I'm looking at it. So we'll be waiting to see the movie after we've read it. And yeah, we don't want to give much away of the book,
No,
so we would ask people to go and get it. So how can they get the book?
it's for sale on Amazon. It's with most of the major bookshops like Waterstones and WH Smith's, and also from my publisher, Cranthorpe Milner. They can also purchase it from there.
Mm.
And there's also, I think, for people who are outside of the UK, there's something called the Book Depository, and I think they deliver worldwide.
Oh, yeah, they do,
Mm.
which is part of Amazon, if I am wrong. I'm not wrong.
Oh, is there? I didn't realise that. Yeah.
I think so.
Mm.
Yeah, it's part of the Amazon services. So, and how can people reach you if they want to follow up with you? And maybe you can give them an insight, more insight or motivation and encouragement on how to write, how to find a publisher, and more.
Yes, I could. Instagram is best place.
Hmm.
It's Julie M Hammond on Instagram.
Yeah, okay. So people will get to connect with you. So we'll share that, and they'll yeah, they'll connect, and you will tell them how hope became the enemy and how hope can become the future.
I've got a question. I've got a question for you.
Yeah,
What
sure.
what do you think about the cover?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Now you see that the name is legible, because
Yeah.
I've seen some other books where the name, you are struggling to read the name, but or you cannot tell between the author's name and the title which is which.
Mm,
Yeah, but this one is well said, and it's good that you gave a publisher, because a publisher has experience on these things. It's beautiful, and I see there kind of a mosque.
yes.
So,
I wanted people to see the cover and know immediately that it was set in Turkey.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
so on the back, that tulip
yeah,
is very is it's on it's like a stylized tulip that's on a lot of mosaics in Turkey.
yeah. To the people who are familiar with the Turkey landscape, they will realize immediately.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's good. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So that's about it. But before we go, at Book Talk, we always ask the guests to leave us with a few words that we can always remember. But or do you have something to add before we go to the few words that you're going to leave with us?
Oh, the only thing that I did want to say is that 50% of my royalties from this book are going to charity. They're going to a charity called Women's Aid, and Women's Aid support victims of domestic abuse. So,
That's
so
good.
if anyone's buying my book, they're hopefully getting a good read and also donating to charity at the same time.
That's beautiful. I love that. Not only getting to enjoy, but also helping other people
Hmm.
through the way of purchasing your book.
Yeah.
So now the what time that we have been waiting for, the interesting words that we should always remember.
I would just say to anyone out there, if you feel you've got something inside you that you want other people to see, write it down. Whether it's a short story, whether it's a novel, whether it's a poem, whether it's a song. There's no harm writing it down, and even if only your friends and family read it, there's still someone who's going to enjoy your words. But who knows? It could get right out there into the public and become something very big. We never know. We don't know.
We never know. And from your words, I can add that one can make a difference.
Yeah.
So just
Yes.
do it.
Yeah. Just do it.
So that's about it. We thank you very much, Julie, for taking your time to write the book and taking your time to come to this podcast. And
Thank
we
you.
wish you great success in everything that you choose to do.
Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy it when you read it.
Yes, I am going to enjoy it, I believe, according to how you've shared.
Thank you.
Yes. And also to the viewers, I want to thank each and every one of you who've been with us, and those who get to watch it on or listen to the podcast. You can always find us on all the podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Audible, iTunes. We are there. Just go and search for Book Talk at Book Place. And I hope that you enjoy this episode, past episodes, and future episodes. Thank you. And
Thank
bye
you.
for now.
Bye bye.
Bye.